At 5:45, we've been talking about a historic breakthrough in the Middle East. President Trump announcing a Gaza peace deal has been reached, saying in the first phase that includes releasing all the hostages in Gaza. A lot to discuss here. Let's dig into it with Fox's Lucas Tomlinson, who joins us live in D.C. Lucas, always good to have you. Good morning.
Good morning, Ryan. Thank you very much for having me.
So what else happens? Obviously, this was big news that came out yesterday. A lot of people are interested in this. This first phase, what do we expect?
Well, Ryan, you can't underscore it enough what you said off the top there, that all the remaining hostages are set to be released, some 20 in all. And you just have to imagine what those 20 individuals have experienced over the last 2 years. You know, let's not sugarcoat it. They've endured some of the worst conditions possible, 2 years of hell, and they're finally going to have the chance to be reunited with their family. Overnight, we saw jubilation, not just in Israel, but in Gaza as well. The Arab world praising President Trump as well as Israelis for getting to this point in history. Phase one, what we're seeing in some of the early reporting is that the Israeli forces are going to pull back from Gaza. There will be a ceasefire. More humanitarian aid will go in. Those hostages will be released. Still some sticking points in terms of the long-term peace in Gaza. Will Hamas disarm? Will they step down and not take a leadership role? Really just, disappear as a result of this deal. However, what it's going to take to get those 20 hostages, Israelis, out of Gaza. There are some reports that Israel is being forced to return some 2,000 Palestinian prisoners. And if you remember an Israeli soldier named Gilad Shalit back in 2011 who was released after 5.5 years of captivity, 1,000 Palestinians were released, including the future leader of Hamas, Yahya Sinwar. So you have to think, will the future Hamas leader be released in this prisoner swap? But for now, let's keep it optimistic for the families of these Israeli hostages. Jubilation that none of us can even, we can understand it, but until you've experienced it, they're seeing their sons and daughters returning home to Israel. And for President Trump, a major win on the world stage. Some people want to see him nominated and receive the Nobel Peace Prize that the president seeks, but it's a breakthrough of historic proportions. You cannot understate that enough, Ryan.
Great news, obviously, for Israel, and certainly there's complex. We'll see where this all goes from this standpoint. When it comes to the government shutdown, we see both sides not budging right now. Where do we stand on this? Because it looks like they're digging in their heels, and we saw a couple ugly conversations kind of spill out yesterday on the Hill.
Sure did. A government shutdown, but perhaps some goodwill from this peace deal, perhaps flowing here to Washington. We heard bipartisan praise for this peace deal last evening not from the usual precincts, including Chuck Schumer. So in terms of the government shutdown, listen, it is growing more unpopular by the day. Certainly with any kind of negotiations, you'd like to see both sides compromise, not unlike the Middle East. And so perhaps the Republicans will budge a little bit on these subsidies as Americans find out just how expensive Obamacare is. We saw that editorial in the Washington Post saying the Affordable Care Act perhaps was not as affordable as people would like. When they talk about these subsidies, people are like, wait, this is 5 years after these subsidies were put into place during COVID times. But perhaps the Republicans will budge a little bit there. Perhaps the Democrats will say, hey, let's pass this clean CR, this continuing resolution, get the lights turned back on, the government running, although people are seeing many of the functions of government continue to run. But certainly for our service members stationed overseas. And also, I was aboard the USS George H.W. Bush aircraft carrier off the coast of Virginia over the weekend. Certainly you want to see our sons and daughters in the U.S. military getting paid, Ryan. That would be a huge breakthrough.
We do, because, Lucas, as you know,
both sides willing to negotiate.
We're getting to that point where people are going to start missing checks, and that becomes a problem. We got to leave it there. Lucas, great to have you with us this morning.
All right. Thank you so much.